one of the best and most influential broadcasters of all time has died. Phil Donahue. I can't believe it. You know, there's some figures who just seem larger than life to you. And growing up over the past 50 years, Phil Donahue was a fixture in all of our living rooms, on our televisions for, my coming of age years. And I gotta say, no one did it better. He ultimately became a friend, but for most of my life, he was just someone I deeply admired and loved to watch. His interviews, smart, funny, entertaining, provocative, wasn't afraid to go to the place that hurt. Ultimately, Oprah would come along and she would be a lot softer. She would herself be kind of like a soft place to fall for people. Phil could do soft and loving and supportive, but he could also do hard hitting and made the whole genre of talk TV into what it was. With the microphone running up and down the aisles, sticking the stick mic in the, face of his audience members, having them weigh in, having them fight, getting all over the guests. It was exciting. We hadn't seen anything quite like it on TV. I was enjoying, I think I told you guys this story, but I was enjoying one of his interviews. You know how your YouTube feed just sometimes feeds you stuff you didn't ask for, and you don't know if it knows you or if it doesn't know you. You click on the thing to find out. Mine apparently knows me because it fed me a Phil Donahue interview of the cast of Steel Magnolias at the time the movie was hitting. So it was right as the movie was coming out. Julia Roberts was still this young sort of ingenue, and all the greats were up there: Olympia Dukakis, Sally Fields, Shirley MacLaine, Dolly Parton. And this is just a small moment. You could pick 10,000 from Phil Donahue, but just look how good he was. Look at this fun question he dropped on Shirley MacLaine.
I look at Shirley and I think of the kicks, she is way up there. Best looking legs, best looking body, best looking face in the business, triple threat. She looks like hell in this picture.
Do anything for an award, Phil.
They will never accuse you of vanity. What a wonderful performance you delivered in this film. You are the most cranky, cynical.
Look how good he is, right? He set up the fact that she made herself very unattractive in that movie with the compliments and with humor, and then drops the hammer about how she actually appears in this film. That is talent, people. That is talent. Keep her softened up, but get her to talk about it. And she did, and she took it in good humor. It's just, I know it's not, Van Gogh, it's not Beethoven, but it's Talk TV's version of it. He was uniquely talented. And of course, he really came to fame attacking very serious subject matters too. Donahue managed to open the door to discussing some of the most divisive subjects of our time, from abortion, back when, it wasn't discussed, to sexual abuse, to very heated segments on the state of race relations in America.
If the white power structure in this country is going to be said to have destroyed everything black, then you are indicting black people as well. We were, in fact, and we are today engaged in a struggle. We are, in fact, and we were today in many ways, and you can see it on the street, engaged in a kind of warfare in which our survival is at stake. But don't tell me we have won no battles in that war. None of us would be sitting here at all. Some people have.
I don't know if it's fair to suggest that she's saying there have been no victories.
Lacks integrity.
Okay, so sometimes he would lose control, but he always kept our interest. His success paved the way for so many others. Obviously, Oprah is the biggest. She actually is on record as saying if it weren't for Phil Donahue, there never would have been an Oprah show. I'm sure that's true. He invented the whole thing. His show ran for 26 years. He won 9 daytime Emmys for Best Talk Show Host. Back in 2017, you know how the years at NBC were not so great. Year, not years, year plus. But I got to meet Phil Donahue. He and I met prior to my taking the job. Here he was coming on the show, and I'll play you a soundbite. But I met him before I actually began work there on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And we went out to lunch a couple of times. He was so nice. He was so good to me. He didn't know me. He didn't have to sit with me. Why would he? He was just a kind guy who was happy to help somebody who was coming up and who was going to try this new thing. And by the way, I would feel firsthand how this cannot be imitated, right? Some people have this gift and some don't. But couldn't have been nicer about my life, about my family, about my job, all of it. And ultimately, he did come on the show. And I spoke to him about his legendary career, about his life. You know, he was married to Marlo Thomas, right? His love affair with his second wife is kind of legendary. But he had a first wife with whom he had 5 children, 4 boys and a girl. And they were divorced. And in a typical sort of Phil Donahue moment, when he spoke about that time in his life, he touched our hearts and managed to make us laugh too.
You were raising your children by yourself for a long part of their childhoods. I read Phil's book.
Yeah, that was from the 6th grade on into freshman in high school is when I became a single parent of 4 sons. And I didn't know what to do with them. And I was doing, a show every day, running back and forth over my shoes. And I certainly learned a lot about what women endure. And I know that Downy goes in the rinse cycle. We did a show. I finally was able to get some help. A woman from Yugoslavia, very sweet, nice woman. And I did a show on drugs and teenagers, and we had bongs and pipes and showed all the paraphernalia. And I got home from work that day, and the woman from Yugoslavia, who was my nanny, said, "Mr. Donahue, we have those things under your boy's bed up there."
It's sweet, right? He told that story. He had a sense of humor, always about himself, and I think that's what helped him live so long. His second marriage, as I mentioned, to actress Marlo Thomas, lasted for 44 years. They met when she was a guest on his talk show, and they later described the meeting as love at first sight. And boy, it did seem to be. Boy, they loved each other. When the other one wasn't around, they talked about each other endlessly and in glowing terms. That was a real love affair till the day he died. Phil Donahue died at home, surrounded by his family, his wife, children, grandchildren, and his beloved golden retriever, Charlie. He was 88 years old, and here is to a life well lived. I will miss him. I will miss his body of work, and I'm so thankful that we have a record of it so we can enjoy him still. In these crazy times, there is peace of mind and security. Security for our country, for our leaders, and for our families. But think about this. Are you really financially secure if all of your eggs are in one financial basket? Gold and silver can be an excellent way to diversify your savings as a hedge against inflation. They're a physical asset that is in high demand globally. And through Birch Gold Group, you can own physical gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. Yes, you can diversify an old IRA or 401k for no money out of pocket into an IRA in gold and silver. Text MK to 989898 and receive a free no-obligation info kit and learn the role precious metals could play in your overall saving strategy. Again, text MK to 989898. Birch Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of happy customers. Text MK to 989898. Message and data rates may apply. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.